And we welcome you to First Energy Stadium, home of the Cleveland Browns, and they finally let us out of the Dog Bowl as the brown and orange scrimmage is complete here at First Energy Stadium. It's a beautiful day here at the stadium. Temperature is in the 80s, almost a little hot. Fans in the seats nearly 2 hours before this whole thing got started. It was advertised as a scrimmage. And we saw a little bit of scrimmaging, especially in hour number 2. I'm Jason Gibbs. He's Andrew Gribble. No, he's Nick Shook. That's how this day's going.
It's Andrew Gribble after a week in the weight room.
Normally. Yeah, that's how this. He's trying to be the biggest loser in our competition in the office and currently working his way towards it. That's Andrew Gribble on the far end who's competing for that. Shook doesn't have to compete for that. He's already got the guns out.
I lost my weight already.
Oh. Hey, and I gained it all. It was great. We're recapping the Orange and Brown scrimmage, guys. Big takeaways from you guys as we get started here.
It was essentially what we've seen at training camp, but boiled down to a field where we're going to see some meaningful action in a month or so. And it was, I thought, a pretty good day for. Again, it followed the theme from this week. Good day for the offense with also some good plays on defense. I liked what I saw from Baker Mayfield, especially at the end, connecting with Pharaoh Brown at the end. But I've also liked seeing what the defense did. There was a series there with the first-team offense near the end of the practice where they couldn't even get a first down. Just stopped them right away. So a lot of good on both sides of the ball. And I think it was, even though it was it was basically a practice that we've all seen in Berea, but just before a large studio audience here at First Energy Stadium, fans were into it, and I think that helped. If anyone, that helped the kickers get more of an even bigger pressure situation. And I thought one kicker did very well in that situation with Greg Joseph, and then Austin Seibert still had some issues.
I will say, I think collectively they did better than I might have anticipated them doing, just because we hadn't seen any consistency from them at all. And Greg Joseph hit one from 51 at the end of a situational period in the practice in which they had driven down the field and come up short. And Austin Seibert from 33 later hit one, which is a more makeable one than a 51, but it's still a tough field goal. So that was encouraging to see. But the surprise player of the day maybe, and maybe I'm jumping ahead here, but Pharaoh Brown, a tight end who is getting a lot of reps with the ones because David Njoku was kind of in and out today, and we've seen some injuries and guys on the sideline and out of practice, and Pharaoh's taking advantage of it. He had a nice day today.
He had that one catch where it was like the throw was behind him.
Yeah.
And he made that. I mean, that was something we hadn't seen these first few days. I think that the size is there, and he looks the part of that second tight end. It's if he can catch and make plays, and he's making plays.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the other guy that stood out to me, Money Mitch, has put together a couple solid days, and that continued today. And, maybe he got saw that Greedy was getting some first-team reps. Maybe that was a little bit of a motivating factor. I don't think so with a guy like Terrence Mitchell, but Mitchell really put together a couple nice days, including today. Really shined.
It's interesting to see where they're playing them in the first and second team, and also just how they're playing them. And they're going back and forth a little bit. Greedy's not getting all the first-team reps. Money Mitch getting more of them today, and definitely taking advantage of them. The thing that I think he really excels at is playing physically. He's not a huge corner, but he's a decent-sized corner. He plays bigger than he is, and he's also all over the receiver in a legal way, not in a way that would draw a flag before he breaks up passes. And you're right. I think he's had a really good, probably 2 or 3 practices, and it's making this competition really interesting.
Yeah, and I think we talk about the right guard competition and the rotation. It's a different person every day. It really has been the same thing at cornerback. It seems like whenever it's a Greedy day, it's like everyone's like, oh, it's Greedy's at first team defense, and no one talks about the other guys.
Yeah.
But it really is a rotation that's included T.J. Carey. T.J. Carey practiced there on Friday at the outside corner spot, and is very much in this competition, even to be the outside starting corner. Obviously, I think we all agree that he seems like the best fit in the slot, but they need to get him ready on the outside too. I just look at it as if the Browns have 4 corners and they're going to figure it out, and that's what we've seen from a rotation standpoint. It's really mirrored the right guard, maybe not as daily as the right guard situation, but it's been rotating pretty good.
I think it also speaks to the versatility of the back end of this defense as a whole, not just the cornerbacks, but also the safeties, because with those 3 safety looks, again, you might get a guy who's going to play that slot corner role, and he's actually a safety. or you might go more with a traditional slot corner, and you can do a lot of different things with these guys, which I think only bodes well for what they can do against an opponent, because they can give them different looks that are going to confuse the opposition, that are going to look unfamiliar, that they might not have even seen on tape because they have the capability and the personnel to do it. And it's really encouraging to see that and see so many of these guys playing well through camp so far.
All right, quarterback room. Gribble, I'll start with you. Obviously, Baker Mayfield showed some things, especially on that touchdown pass to Pharaoh Brown, and moved the offense up and down the field. What did you see from the backup quarterbacks today?
I mean, they're fine.
Is there one like Drew Stanton? Drew Stanton.
He's had a couple
we saw
of
more
days
from Drew Stanton today than I think we did at any point last season.
I mean, the touchdown pass is great. It was. I mean, that was a great drive. I think he benefited from having a guy like Rashard Higgins working with the second team today. I mean, it seemed like he found Rashard maybe 3 or 4 times on that drive alone. And then it was such a good touchdown pass that Rashard walked the red carpet at the end.
Yeah,
I think that was fun for the fans as well. And I think we've liked what we've seen from Garrett Gilbert, and I think it's opened the discussion on whether or not this team's going to keep 3 quarterbacks or not. And I think that maybe at this time in May or April we would have been like, oh no, it looks like they're just going to roll with 2. But Gilbert's been good enough that you could seriously consider, if the way the numbers break down, that you end up carrying 3 this year.
Yeah, maybe it's not a point where you necessarily you have the luxury of that, because you probably want to fit somebody else in elsewhere. But these are 3 candidates. Well, obviously you have in number 6, but 2 candidates behind him who have very strong cases to make this team.
All right, offensive lineman guru. What'd you see at the right guard competition today?
Today was a Cush day, and he was solid. There was once or twice where he got caught on skates a little bit of his momentum too far back, but overall he was solid. Not an issue at all. Not something that they caused any problems with either the running or the passing game. Ran a lot of play action today and a lot of bootlegs. Got Baker out and running. Got Drew Stanton out and running. Even got Gary Gilbert out and running a little bit too. So you're not going to get as good of a look, I think, when the action's moving away from a guy. Oftentimes you'll script that because you don't trust your offensive line. That's not the case here. It's just something that is a staple in a Freddie Kitchens offense. He loves to run the ball and run out of play action, work off the run, build out that way. So not the easiest, I think, day to really get a close look at them. But, I mean, they're all playing solid. The thing that strikes me the most, and we were talking about this on the sideline, is – I think for as unexpected as this might be, Austin Corbett just looks so natural at center when he's playing second-team center. He looks like he has a very firm grasp of all the responsibilities that come with playing center. He looks good snapping, and in his first 2 steps, he's stout. He doesn't give up ground. He's a big guy, and it seems like, they don't have a need at center right now, but it could be in his future, believe it or not. He could end up being the starting right guard, but he is also he's proven to be very capable of playing center.
Something to watch, I would say, as J.C. Treader plays the last year of his contract.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe not something for this year, and hopefully we wouldn't have to have that situation, but maybe some decisions for this front office to make going into the offseason next year.
I also think it bodes well in case of emergency, in case J.C.'s health is not up to – the level that it needs to be for him to be able to play. And we've seen him get, he's tweaked his ankle this week, and I've seen him get rolled up on a few times, so far, because these inside run periods have been very physical. So, I think it is good for the depth of the team and the, in case of emergency, break glass situation, having Austin Corbett prepared to play center.
Defensively, not a lot of tackling to the ground today. What do you take away from the defense? One takeaway from each of you on the defense.
I mean, it's the last couple days of the young linebackers have been kind of surging a little bit and kind of raising some eyebrows. Again, Mac Wilson with an interception today. That's 2 straight days.
And right up the middle unscathed on the one on the 2-minute drive.
Right. And I think he's making himself known. Especially, you got a Darius Taylor down now, so there's even more opportunities there to kind of get. Not necessarily a starting role, but a firm kind of backup role. We still haven't seen Jadard Avery out here in a while. Unsure really how much linebacking he's even going to do, but these 2 rookies are playing at a level that makes you feel good about the depth at that position.
That's kind of was the point I was going to go with. I was going to go with.
Okay,
but
it's been a long couple weeks.
Exactly. But I'm going to go a little bit different here and go defensive line because some interesting contributors at the defensive tackle position, especially since Sheldon Richardson has had a couple off days. We've seen some decent play from Trevon Coley and also from Daniel Aquale, who, is a name that a lot of people might not be familiar with, but he has seemed to be a pretty effective traditional 1 technique. He's a gap plugger. He's a guy who's going to command a double team and eat up 2 blockers successfully. And he's also getting a little bit of penetration back there. Coley made a nice tackle for loss early in the practice today. So that's been somewhat encouraging because you always have to worry about depth. And when you have one of those new guys that you're going to expect a lot from all of a sudden not playing, you're going to need to make sure that you got somebody behind him who's capable. And it seems like they've got at least a couple right there. And it's also an interesting position to watch as we trim down this roster.
All right, that's what happened in today's Orange and Brown scrimmage here at First Energy Stadium. For the rest of the podcast, including Andrew Gribble's one-on-one with Joel Batonio, make sure you log on to clevelandbrowns.com or wherever you get your podcast.